And she said, oh, I had a birthday party for my son over the weekend and nobody turned up. And I instantly just thought, oh my goodness me, like, how can nobody turn up to a child's birthday party? And I said, I heard this story on the radio today and it was so sad. Do you reckon we should put on a little party for all the little boys and girls? And I specifically remember looking down the guts of Munro Street and there was this big line of all these little kids dressed up as superheroes. And I turned to my husband on maternity leave and said, I don't want to go back to my corporate job. And he said, well, don't. And I walked off and cried, first of all. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I should just take a leap of faith and take this somewhere. At the point, to be quite honest, I had no idea where I was going to take it. I was like, well, I'll just keep doing events. And so every time a child walks into one of our events or, I go and do a party, I want them to know that they have purpose. I want them to know that there is a place for them here. And if we can't find it, let's dig a little bit deeper because there is someone in this community that accepts you. Hi, I'm Louise Larkin and this is the Good People Podcast.
It's a tip of the cap, it's a pat on the back, it's a smile from ear to ear. They're the good people from round here.
Welcome to another episode of the Good People Podcast, brought to you by In Other Good News. My name is Andy Fittall and I am your host. And on this podcast, I get to talk to some of the good people from around here, doing some amazing things in the world. Today's guest is definitely included in that realm. And so I'd like to welcome someone who has been doing something for a little while now. And we've been actually trying to get them in for a while with a few speed humps, but we're finally here. Have you ever been so compelled to do something that you would thrust yourself into it without thinking and possibly change your whole career? Well, the person I'm interviewing today has done that and they're doing some amazing things. Her name is Louise Larkin. She is the founder of Friend in Me. Louise, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, my old friend.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show finally.
Yes.
We tried to do this at the start of 2023, but you went and increased your family size to 1.7 times more than the standard average of children.
I did.
You had your fourth child. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That child is about 13 now, it feels like.
I know. And even yesterday when you messaged me, I was like, do not ignore that message. Like, answer that phone. This has to happen.
We were going to do this a while ago, and then things got a bit hectic. You're a busy person. You're a very busy person, especially with, you've got a good swag of kids now, and you're a busy mum, super mum, and you've also got Friend in Me, the charity, which we will talk about in a moment. But I must probably mention that you and I have a little bit of history.
We do. We do.
You and I met a long, long time ago, and we have sort of come back together. I remember you when you used to come to the pub that I used to work at.
I love this so much. And when you reached out to me and you said, I don't know if you're going to remember me. I'm thinking, oh no, what's he going to say? Who is this? Like, maybe I won't remember. I'm not sure how this is going to go down. And then as soon as you said, I was a manager at the Waterloo. Oh, were you a manager?
No, I just worked there.
You just worked there. And straight away my mind went to like, oh dear, those nights are very large.
Yeah. So I worked at a pub and used to come to the pub, and that was probably, this is 20-something years ago, I think.
Well, yeah, I'm 40 next year, so
yeah.
It was
and you were going there when you were 18, so...
Yes, 18, yes.
We'll say 18. So that it was hilarious when we connected again to... talk about Friend in Me. That made me laugh a lot. I did say, I remember you used to come in and then something around the uni and the exams and I think you even maybe came in the night before your English exam
I certainly did. And as I said, I did the best on that exam that I could have done. So I'm glad I matched in your memory for those nights, because I reckon I've lost a few memories from then.
The difference is that I was sober.
Well,
you see, that's the thing. When you're working,
yes, this is true.
You've got a much better chance of remembering. So it is great to have you come back into this realm and to, converge again. And since then, though, you've been very busy.
I have, just a little, like we all are.
Yeah.
We're all busy, but I have been busy.
You've grown up and had kids and done the bit, but also the bit that we're going to talk about today is this charity Friend in Me that you founded. Mm-hmm. Friend in Me is doing some really, really nice things. It's starting to grow like crazy.
It is, yeah.
And I want to talk about what it is. Do you want to give me let's talk about, do you know what? I love the story because I have heard this before. I love the story of what made you decide to do something that one day. Can you tell me about the day that you decided you needed to do something?
Sure. So, this is about 7 years ago now, and I was driving to work, listening to the radio, and as you do on the way to work. And
yep.
I remember crossing the bridge in the city, and this mum came on the radio, and she was in tears, and it grabbed my attention. And she said, I had a birthday party for my son over the weekend and nobody turned up. And I instantly just thought, oh my goodness me, like, how can nobody turn up to a child's birthday party? And, I was in a very senior corporate role at this point. So I wasn't working with children. I had one little girl at the time, but it kind of sat with me all morning. I went to work and I was sitting around and I messaged a couple of girlfriends from my gym. And I said, I heard this story on the radio today and it was so sad. This little boy, no one turned up to his party. Imagine, our kids feeling like that. Do you reckon we should put on a little party for all the little boys and girls that haven't been invited to one or haven't had that opportunity to be able to experience, giving out invitations and making lolly bags and all the little things that we were taking for granted.
Yep.
And they said, let's do it. So within 6 weeks, we frantically organised this, what I thought would be quite a small event.
Yeah.
Just at the local community centre in Ascot Vale. And we got, a few people on board and we thought, what would be fun at it? Like, if you could think of a really fun party, what would you have there? And it was like face painting and entertainment and balloons. And we got a local real estate on board and we put together this event. And I was actually watching Toy Story and the song, You Got a Friend in Me. Yeah. I was like, Friend in Me. Everybody needs a friend. Let's call this event Friend in Me.
Perfect.
And so the day came around and we had the event and we had about 350 people come that day. And I specifically remember looking down the guts of Munro Street and there was this big line of all these little kids dressed up as superheroes because I said, if you want to dress up, come dressed as your favourite superhero, your favourite princess.
Yep.
And they were all lining up. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, like I thought I'd have like 50 people come here.
Yep.
And there they all were. And
so you got 10 times the amount of people come.
Well,
that you thought were going to come.
I honestly, you didn't know because I didn't think. I mean, there was no planning. There was no kind of budgets put in place or something where I was doing some kind of forecast of what this was going to look like. It was just like, okay, put a few flyers out. Let's see what happens. And it was quite successful, and everyone had a really good time. But I just went back to my corporate job and, another year went by and I said, well, let's do another one. So I didn't really think about it too much within that year.
Yep.
And I did another event. And this time I thought, why don't we try a bigger venue? So we tried a bigger venue and then we had about 700 people come. So we doubled, of what we had the year before.
Yep.
And that's when I started thinking, okay, I'm really enjoying this. And we started having more people come, what I was recognizing with disabilities, and so I started thinking more, is that the kind of people that are missing out on these opportunities? Is it the kids with disabilities that might be a little bit misunderstood or, whatever that looks like? And then it was the second year and I went on maternity leave with my second little girl, Florence. And I turned to my husband on maternity leave and said, I don't want to go back to my corporate job.
Yeah.
And he said, well, don't. And I carried on like a wife does. I'm like, oh, well, we've got a mortgage. We've got 2 kids. And of course I have to go back. Like, how am I going to afford this? He's like, well, work it out, Lou. Like, let's just do what makes you happy. And he said, do whatever fuels that fire in your belly. And I walked off and cried, first of all. And then I thought to myself, well, maybe I should just take a leap of faith and take this somewhere. At the point, to be quite honest, I had no idea where I was going to take it. I was like, well, I'll just keep doing events.
Yep.
And that was the day I left my big 6-figure corporate job.
Yep.
And I walked away. And, 4 years later since that day, so we've been going for 6 years, but 4 years on since that time I left my job, we've still been going. And I'm 100% full-time working within the charity.
Yep.
While volunteering at this point. So I'm still
Yeah.
100% volunteer. The organisation is. And that's a bit of the backstory.
Yeah, it's a great backstory. And, referring to my intro and talking about being so compelled to do something that you do something that is sometimes financially illogical, but you're just compelled, right?
Yeah.
Like you're just drawn, you just had to do it.
Yeah, look, I've always been really interested in volunteering and, I remember in primary school doing the MS Readathon and wanting to make money and, to donate back to this community and always then I went overseas, I was in Cambodia and I made sure that I went to an orphanage over there and I did some volunteering over there in an orphanage. So I've always been really compelled, as you say, to give back to the community.
Yep.
And so when this opportunity came up that I was never actually looking for, I thought, you know what, maybe I can make something out of this. This is maybe what my purpose is to give back to these families. And what we call now is advocating for these families that really don't have the time. They do not have the energy. We're working with families with quite ill children or very, very challenged children.
Yep.
And they're tired. They're tired of advocating and they're tired of trying to create these opportunities for these kids. So what I say is I have the time. I don't have all the knowledge and I'm learning every single day, but I certainly have the time to advocate for these children and give them some purpose.
Being the parent of a fairly disabled child would be so exhausting. Like that constant care would be...
Oh, I mean, I can't imagine it. I'm tired. As a mother of 4, I'm tired, right?
Yep.
But when I hear these stories and when I actually connect with these families and these caregivers, it's beyond what I can imagine.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Me too, I think.
Some of my families, unfortunately, they will probably outlive their children and they know that.
Yeah.
But they're armed with, what needs to be done should anything happen. But I'm talking bedrooms that are like ICU wards. Like
this is at their homes.
This is in their homes.
Yeah.
And therapy appointments. So how do they ever get the time to manage a birthday party? How do they get the time to manage, picking a cake for their little boy's 5th birthday? They don't. So that's where we kind of step in, and that's just one arm of what we do. We step in and go, well, how about I organise a cake and organise Spider-Man to come and visit you, or, and it's something so small that we can give back to them that they just are so appreciative of.
Yeah, I bet they are.
That we have that time and the energy to do it.
Yeah. It's really nice. I really like this story and the story of the charity because these kids, they deserve something. And if the parents are, often with medical costs and things, it can put quite a strain on people as well. So I think that would probably play into it too, right?
Oh, a huge amount financially. Again, I don't know what these things are costing all the time, but I can't even imagine, with all these therapy costs and not just the cost, the wait list, and then you pay for private rather than public, all these kind of things that just all add up and pile and pile and pile. And then just maybe when the family want to go out for a coffee, they do that and then something happens at that cafe and then it all just crumbles because they feel like they can't take them there. So they just walk away and then they can't live this relatively normal life.
Yeah.
And I find that's just so unfair.
Yeah, it is unfair. So let's talk about Friend in Me, the offerings of Friend in Me. So you can go to Friend in Me. I say if you go to the website, actually, we better mention that. So friendinme.org.au. Make sure you put in the AU or you'll go somewhere else.
You will.
Friendinme.org.au. And on that site, you've got a few different things that you do. So what would you say the main things are that you'll find when you go to the site?
So I guess my big baby is our family day.
Yep.
So that's what's kind of grown into this beautiful, and it's evolved into something much bigger than what I ever planned, you know,
Okay.
starting from our little community event at the local community centre
yeah.
has grown into a really big, inclusive, accessible, fun day for all of these families.
So that's a big event.
That's an event. So that's probably one of our biggest fundraising events.
Sure. How often do you do those?
Well, we do one in Melbourne once a year and one in Geelong
Sure.
once a year. So
Yep.
2 big ones.
Yep. How many people go to those?
We get about 3,000. Well, that's what we've had in the past. So
That is so hectic.
it's hectic. And I did my last one 8.5 months pregnant, I think I was.
Yeah.
And I'm running around.
Sucker for
I
punishment.
love it though.
Yeah.
I love it. I fell into a heap at the end of it. But nothing brings me more joy than seeing these families come and just be unapologetically themselves. They can just come and know that there's no judgment there.
Yeah.
You know, I see the kids in the wheelchair on the wheelchair swing just exuding this, you know, excuse me, these smiles, and they're just so happy to be there and, you know, just have the fun. So they're our 2 biggest events, and they are just growing, you know, year on year, and so many people are wanting to get on board. Our Melbourne one in 2024 will be at Gumbaya World, so we're partnering with Gumbaya World. So, you know, big theme park.
Yeah,
so
that'd be
that's
great.
taking us to the next level there, which is awesome. And I guess the other 2 big projects. So we have smaller things that we do kind of ad hoc with these sponsored birthday parties and things like that we just jump in and are able to do,
Yep.
which is really sweet. But the 2 biggest projects we're doing is one will be an educational platform, which we're rolling out. So it's going to be an online program.
Yep.
And the example I mentioned before about being able to go to a cafe, and if the child, for example, has a little meltdown, can the cafe manage that as
Yep.
best they can?
So what's in that example, are you talking about? Is that neurodivergence, or what sort of?
It could, to be honest, it could be any child really.
Yeah.
But can the business or the organisation manage it? Can
Sure.
they go up and, you know, possibly discreetly say, is there anything I can do? Can I turn down the music? Can I turn down the lights? Just have a little toolkit, I guess, where they can maybe try and help the family.
Armed with a few skills to help in the situation.
And, you know, no one needs to learn about every single disability, because I sure don't know every single disability either. And, you know, that's a very big thing that people ask me, you know, what disability do your children have? And, you know, I've got 4 children at the moment which aren't living with disabilities, but I want to be able to advocate and learn how we can try and create this more inclusive world for children who may be living with a disability.
Yeah.
So this platform we hope to roll out, it's in the works right now actually. We'll start off with small businesses and small organisations that can just bring to their attention just 1 or 2 things that they can go, we could implement that in our cafe or hairdresser or RSL club, whatever that looks like.
Yep.
So families ever so slowly can start going, okay, well, maybe I will go out there. And if anything happens, they might be able to help us manage it and create. Like, I would love to see sensory bags at the bottom of every till. I would love to see that. You know, so in a cafe, for example, they could just go over to a family and say, this might help you. So I'd love to have like little friend in me sensory kits. And just discreetly pop it on the table, and you just never know. That child might switch, and then, you know, they feel like, I can finish this hot coffee.
Yeah.
Because my friend can go and finish her hot coffee, so I want to be able to do that.
Yep.
So that's our educational platform.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
One of the biggest things. And then the other one would be we're starting to develop inclusive play spaces.
Yep.
Which is awesome, and I love it, and it's bricks and mortar, and it's tangible, and it's going to look amazing. So we're doing our very first one, which started just this week, out in Geelong.
Mm-hmm. So you occupy a space and turn it into a...
Yeah, so we run our offices out of Liberty Disability, which is in Geelong, and they had an empty yard. And they said, we've always had these dreams that we can create this inclusive play space. I said, right, I can do that. Let's get some funding.
Yep.
And let's create a really beautiful community area that's accessible, that's welcoming, again, where these children, these families can be unapologetically themselves, and they can just come in and whatever it is, it is. And so that's actually starting, and I'm so excited. It's empty grounds at the moment, so we're it's going to be fully accessible with a wheelchair cubby house, a wheelchair swing. It's more where they can be transferred to the swing, and just like really sensory and tactile, and just a really beautiful environment. So we're doing one there, and we're doing one in Mornington, which is an indoor space.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's really great. The more we learn about sensory issues with kids, the more of these sort of things we can do, right? Because sometimes it's just too much. It's too irregular. Like if you go to one of those play centres and things, they're intense. Like I don't think I have sensory issues, and I find them intense. So
and sometimes I go to my daughter's dance class and I think I feel so overwhelmed right now because there's screaming girls, and it's so overwhelming. So you put a child into a situation that it can become a lot.
Yeah.
So, and there is just no way we can make every single. For example, I just told you I'm doing one of our family days at Gumbaya World.
Yeah.
Now that's a theme park. It is loud. It is busy. It will be just our community there, so we will kind of cap it. But that comes with full disclosure. This is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But for our sensory spaces that we're doing coming under our banner, we will try and listen to the community and ask them, what do you need? What is good for you? And I've been doing so much research around it. And if you could imagine an outdoor play space, it's not a playground. So it's not a playground. It's more of a community hub. What do you want to see?
Yeah.
They want to see big fences where they can't run out.
Yeah,
all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So, I try and listen to what they need and what they want. So it is that welcoming environment.
Yeah. Now, if we were going to do this podcast at the start of the year, and if we'd have done that, there would have been a whole heap of things that hadn't happened.
No.
What's happened this year? What's in the new arrivals category that you can tell us about that's happened this year? Because there was a gala as well.
Yeah, it's been a really, really big year of growth for us, both with my body having a baby. Excuse me. So little Billy is 7 months. So he's my fourth baby. Mm-hmm. He's my fourth little boy.
Yep.
But yeah, we obviously had 2 family days at the start of the year. So one in Geelong and one in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. And then we had our gala ball, our inaugural gala ball, which was at the park in Albert Park. And, being in events, it's really tricky. You think, okay, well, are we going to get the people there? Are they going to come? Are they going to enjoy themselves? Like, what do I need to do? Thankfully, I know a thing or two about events from my background in jobs. So someone said, let's do a gala ball. And I thought, I've done so many charity events in my time through my career. I do not want it to be just another charity ball. Like that was really important to me.
Yeah, they can all
and
blend
although
into each other.
I take my hat off to them all because they're all really good and they all raise amazing money, but sometimes if you go to one, it's always the same. It's like the silent auction, the live auction, it's always the same. So we actually didn't have a silent auction. We had a live auction. But I went above and beyond and I probably spent a little bit more than I probably should have within the budget. But it meant we got the people there and we got the funds raised because it was a step aside from what a lot of other charity events are doing.
Yep.
So that was amazing. And we raised some really good money. We raised about 100,000 there. So
yeah, good.
That money led us to be able to do this play space. So
that's paying for the play space.
Well, yeah, some of it is paying for the play space, which means that we can show these donors and show these sponsors exactly where that money is going to.
Yeah, perfect.
Charity work is hard.
Yeah.
Charity work is competitive. I remember when we were getting the DGR status and the charity status, I thought for starters, it was such a whirlwind trying to do it and it was intense. It was really intense to get it.
Yeah.
And I said, this is above and beyond what I thought I was going to, let's just say not for profit. Anyway, we got it done. And, but sometimes I think, is this all too hard? Because there are some big players out there that have been around for an extremely long time and doing amazing things. I mean, these are the charities that I actually look up to.
Yes.
I looked at them and go, yeah, I actually want to be like that charity.
Yep. But they're
what
also really good at raising funds.
They're so good. And they have a team.
Yeah.
They have a team of people.
Yeah.
They have employees. You know, as I said at the start, we are 100% volunteer. I myself am working full-time on this as a volunteer.
Yep.
And I just hope that shows the passion that I have. That's the passion that I'm committing to these families and to these children. And I'm, you know, that's why I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned to you in our briefing, you know, the average life expectancy of a charity is about 5 years because it's hard.
Yeah.
It is really hard work. I had just a friend in Geelong the other day go, I want to start a charity. And I just said to her, why do you want to start a charity? And what charity is it? And it was actually like a food one. She said, I see so many mums struggling. And I said, beautiful ideas, but first of all, go and volunteer with ones that are doing it really well, because charity work is hard work.
Yeah.
You need to be hustling and you need to be really strong for all the no's you're going to get.
Yeah.
No, I can't fund you. No, I don't have money. No, I sponsor this charity.
It's mostly no's,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Yep.
no, constantly.
Yep.
And you just have to go, okay, that's fine, and move on. We're doing a Christmas drive, and one of my girlfriends went to her work and said, can we put up a Christmas tree and take gifts? And she said, no, like I think it was a medical clinic. And the manager said, no, we can't do that. And my friend calls me. She's like, I'm so upset. Why? She should have put it up there, you know, all this kind of thing. And I said, don't worry. Like, oh, gosh, that's fine. I get told no all of the time for things. Like, you just got to be really thick-skinned.
Yep.
But if you're passionate, it will start coming in.
You'll keep going. Yeah.
You know, the day I left my corporate job and I kind of just dropped my shoulders a little bit was when all the opportunities started happening and all the opportunities came flying in.
Yeah, right.
You know, things with media and, you know, I had, you know, Channel 9 and Sunrise and people start knocking on my door saying, we've heard you do this.
Yep.
And we want to know more. And that's because I allowed myself the space to come in, you know. But what comes with that is you might have a really good few months and then it's just nothing.
Yeah. And so times at the moment where, well, charities are most needed at the moment and probably having the hardest trouble getting funding because of the financial climate. So
hard.
Yeah, I know I'm not on the front line. Like, we raise money for charity. I'm not on the front line, but it's hard to justify what you're doing enough that people will say, yes, we'll give you some money to do what you're going to do. And there's so much competition, like you said. There was another reason. I mean, you started this charity, you said, because of the boy, but you told me that there was probably another reason that was sort of bubbling in the background why you wanted to do something good as well. Yeah.
Exactly that. So little Logan, I guess, was a catalyst of like the event and why we were going to do the event. So, and then as I dug a little bit deeper over the years, I started thinking about my own journey with my own family, and my dad had a heap of struggles with mental health, and he went through his whole, I think he was 13 when he had his first alcoholic drink and pretty much was an alcoholic for his whole life and went through times of not really knowing where his place was in this world, you know, not being accepted, not being included, all these things that I talk about with our children and, you know, what I'm kind of fighting and advocating for these days. And I witnessed Dad just falling into a massive heap and struggling through his mental health issues, tried to help him. Like, I'm talking rocking up to a psychological ward and trying to get him out and telling him he doesn't belong there and trying to get him out of a really, really deep, dark spot. And I tried to do that for so many years. You know, I remember trying to pull my brother away from Dad sitting there on the bottle and I'm, you know, protecting my brother. And, you know, in the end, unfortunately, it was too late for Dad and, you know, he lost his battle. And, you know, I guess for me, underlining, which I probably didn't realise until only a couple of years ago, that I couldn't save Dad. Dad chose to not be on this earth anymore because he was, you know, he really was he didn't want to be here. And that's okay. And I know, and I'm comfortable to say he's in a much better place now, but I had to find my place to help other, it so happened to be children, because I don't want these kids to end up where Dad did. You know, he was 69 years old when he decided that was it. And I don't want to see kids like that. I want kids, no matter what they enjoy, no matter what walk of life they've come from, that they are here on this world for a purpose, that they have somewhere in this world, they have some place.
They belong.
They belong, whatever that is.
Yep.
And so every time a child walks into one of our events, or, you know, I go and do a party, I want them to know that they have purpose. I want them to know that there is a place for them here. And if we can't find it, let's dig a little bit deeper, because there is someone in this community that accepts you. And I just feel like, you know, schools now, everything, like they just need to educate themselves slightly, just a little bit. If we all take these baby steps in acceptance, there won't be these suicides at 69 years old. There won't be these deep, dark holes, because somewhere along the line they've found their place. They've found their people. They've found their purpose. So friend in me, I really, really want to keep advocating for that. And I really want these kids, as, you know, I want to capture them as kids, because sometimes when you get to the kind of young adults, and I mean, forget about Dad's age, it was too far gone.
Yep.
But I really want to capture these kids when they're young and show them that there is a path for you, and how can we create that path so you can, you know, find this purpose in your life. And also, how do we educate the kids around us? You know, I'm forever talking to my girls about everybody's different. You know, the girls come home and say, oh, you know, there's a girl at school and she doesn't talk. She doesn't talk. Why doesn't she talk, Mum? And, you know, we just dig a little bit deeper, and I just have really open conversations with them. I take them to events where there's kids who are quite severely disabled, and I can see them staring, and, you know, and then, you know, once we've walked away, I said, look, I noticed you noticed these kids. Did you have any questions? And, you know, my little Florence would be like, why do they talk like that? Or why are they drinking out of a straw? And I said, this is great. Let's have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
You know, let's talk about it. So then the next time it's nothing to them. It's
right.
just the norm.
Yep.
So that's really important, because I see it so much. Like, we did a dance festival, or we were part of a dance festival. So it was just a big dance concert in the school holidays. And one of the mums went up to one of the dance teachers we sponsored a stage called Be Me Stage. It was basically, a lot of the children had disabilities. They didn't all, but a lot of them did.
Yep.
And they were having the time of their lives. Like, it just makes my heart so full. But we had a mum come up to one of the teachers and say, I didn't know that this was happening on this stage. And one of the teachers was like, oh, what do you mean you didn't know this was happening? She goes, oh, my kids don't dance. And she kind of paused. She goes, dance with who? She goes, those people.
Oh.
And this, unfortunately, like, this is a mother who has two children at that point looking up to her and what she's saying. And that's what we need to change.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly, and that behaviour is going to go into your children, and then that's the flow-on effect.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's why my organisation, I want to change that narrative. I want to change that so it's not those children. And if you take a moment to have a look at those children, they are having the absolute time of their lives. Like, they are so happy, and in that moment, they belong. They belong there. They belong in the environment, and they can dance like every other child is dancing in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think belonging is a huge one, isn't it? Because if you've ever felt like you don't belong, which I feel like everyone probably has at some point.
At some point, yeah.
The exploration at the moment, which I talk about a lot on this podcast, but the exploration of neurodivergence. There's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, feel like they don't belong in certain situations. It just really brings out the happiest moments, doesn't it? When you feel like there's a place for you. This is where I belong. I can have a good time, let loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have the opportunity that the person to your right is having.
Yeah.
Like, you can look and go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I might be in a wheelchair.
Yep.
You know, we've got a family, and they were there, and 2 kids are in wheelchairs and 1 is not, but they've all got some form of a disability. And the mother, they were with their support workers on this particular day, and I recognised them. I was just looking at them going, I feel like I've seen these guys before. And anyway, the mum jumped into our inbox that night. She said, hi, these are my kids. This was a photo taken today. Thank you so much. And I said, oh, you guys look really familiar. And she said, we followed you from SeaWorks, which was our very second event.
Oh.
At every event you've done, Melbourne, Geelong, wherever it's been, they've just jumped around, because she says that my kids have the most amazing time at your events and they can just be themselves.
Yep.
And now I was like, oh my gosh, I knew it. So I went back to all the photos and I just kept screenshotting. I'm like, oh yes, here they are, here they are,
Yes.
here they are. And, you know, that's what it's all about for me.
Yep.
You know, they could just come along and just be who they are, and they have so much fun.
Yeah.
They have so much fun.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. So on your website, on your website you can see a picture of you in a Barbie car, if that's what you're going there
It's
for.
my jam. That's my jam.
What was that all about? Why were you in a Barbie
She
car?
told me, well, the photographer told me to get into a Barbie car.
Okay.
You know, when you get told to stand you were doing it this morning.
Yeah.
You were telling me to stand here,
Put
there.
you through the ringer with the photo shoot this morning.
That was just a photo. But, you know, this is just one of the things. We had a Barbie car at this event, and, you know, something so simple, like it's this beautiful lady just has a Volkswagen, and she's just turned it into a Barbie car, and she kind of looks like Barbie too.
Okay.
And she comes along and lets kids have photo in the Barbie car.
There you go.
But these are the type of things that we have at the events. Like if you can think of everything that a kid would love in one big environment, that's what we have there.
You have like, what have I seen? You've got like performers.
Yeah, so we have like a main stage with performers, and then we have like about 50 volunteer characters roaming around and taking photos, and food trucks, and we had Dodgem cars this year, and animal farms and transformers, and
There you go.
it's all happening.
Also on your website there's a Give a Cup section.
Yes,
What's Give a Cup?
This is my baby.
Right. Because
So
the whole thing's your baby, but go on.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's like my 5th baby, isn't it? 6 if we include my beautiful husband. So again, if I come back to funding and coming back to the competitiveness and all of that, you know, you might get a nice grant or you might get a nice opportunity where a business is like, here's $5,000, but you've got to keep it going. So I said, what is a nice way that people can kind of pledge to the organisation? So I think it was, I can't remember which baby I was pregnant with, but every day I would have a mocha, a McDonald's mocha, and it was $5.20.
No judgment.
No judgment. No. Oh, well, you're a coffee maker, aren't you? What do you sell? Yeah. It was a nice coffee, by the way, that coffee. It was very nice. But I think it was because when I was pregnant, I couldn't drink full strength coffee. Like I didn't like the taste of it. I didn't love it. So I had a mocha. $5.20 from McDonald's. Yes, I'm sorry. Anyway, that's what I did because it was convenient.
Yeah. No.
Anyway, we came up with this idea that I give a cup, so pledge a cup of coffee or a pledge a hot drink per week.
The value of a cup of coffee.
Yeah, which was $5.20, which was my mocha, because everyone's like, why the $5.20? I'm like, well, it's not $5. That's boring. $5 is boring.
Yep.
So we started this campaign, I Give a Cup, and it was like a play on I give a about
crap. Like the toilet paper. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I give a cup about inclusion, or I give a cup for Andy, or I give a cup for Logan. And it was just that ongoing pledge. And for us, that was that ongoing income coming in. So that $5.20 per week of, you know, donors that would just keep pledging every week. So we're actually just about to relaunch that because it kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. Just, you know, it's hard. These times are hard.
Yeah.
So if you're going to drop something, so usually it's something towards charity that you're going to drop. But we're about to relaunch that.
Yeah, okay. Same idea?
Same idea. Same idea. Everybody gets a keep cup, which we're just trying to source them at the moment and get a really funky keep cup. I just didn't want this. I don't like being the same old. I just like something a little bit different.
Yep.
But when you sign up, you get a keep cup.
Sure.
And then it's just debited out of your account. But this money keeps us going, I guess, for like little things like the parties or, you know, the character calls or a cake.
The Spider-Man or the whatever.
Yeah, just little things like that.
Yeah.
And as a donor, you can keep giving back. I like to think it's not too expensive, you know, $5.20 a week. But I really would love to get that going because the more we get signing up, the better it will be, the more funding will come in, the more we can keep this charity alive.
Yeah.
So
that you can find that on the website. So friendinme.org.au. You can go and sign up to the Give a Cup program.
Keep Cup, yep.
Not Keep Cup.
We do need Keep Cups. So if anyone's listening and they have Keep Cup companies, they can make funky Keep Cups.
Yep.
Would love to hear.
Love to talk to you.
They're really hard.
Yeah, okay. Keep Cup providers, get in touch. So you can do that there. Now, there is something else very special that you do with parents. Can you tell me about the retreats that you do?
Yes. You know, every single event I do, my heart is just so full. Like I walk away feeling an immense amount of gratitude and but this one, so the beginning of last year, I started thinking, what else can we do for the families? You know, we do these fun things for the kids. What else can I do for the families? And I thought, retreats are always nice. Like it's nice to get away. So we had, I think last year it might have been a small real estate agent. They had an event and they raised some funds for us. And I said, would it be okay if I put these funds directly towards a fully funded retreat for parents or caregivers that really, really need some respite? And these families that come along. So how it works is I put out a post, you nominate someone, and it's literally through Facebook. You tag them, you nominate. People jump in my inbox and tell me stories, which I won't lie, sometimes is really hard. Like it's really hard to read these stories of these people that I can't even imagine. Like I just, you know, one of the beautiful ladies that's coming on the retreat actually this weekend, we're hosting our 4th one. So I try and do 2 a year. And I can only do them when a company says we would like to fund it.
Sure.
You know, so... And they're not expensive to fund, like, you know, because we take away 7 mums.
Yep.
And, you know, one of the ones this time coming around, husband's got leukemia, going through treatment at the moment. One boy has autism and one boy has a rare genetic disease, and he's, you know, between 10 and 12, he'll probably pass away. So they're the type of parents that we're taking. You know, she is inundated with therapy back and forth with both her kids and her husband. She's also a support worker. This woman is a phenomenal woman. So she's also giving her emotions to other people and other families while she's going through her own challenges. And, you know, we're taking away this weekend 7 mums to Mornington Peninsula, 2 nights, 3 days of just all the things you think about in a retreat. And now it's not a woo-woo retreat where I say 5:30 a.m, wake up, we're doing yoga. Don't care about that.
Rack off.
It's literally, if you want to stay in your room for 3 days and not even pop your head out, I'll drop a coffee to your door. Like it's these are the activities we're doing.
Yep.
Join or don't join. This is all about you. If you want to sit and read a book because you haven't been able to read a book for 8 years because you've been caring for your child, that's okay.
Yep.
So, you know, I watch these women come together as complete strangers and they come into a room quite closed in. And, you know, I mean, you know me, but I'm quite the bubbly. I hope I'm welcoming.
Love the party.
Love a party. No, I can't party like my old days at the pub though. I'm not so good these days.
I hope not.
I wish I was as good. I try and think I'm good, but I'm not. But I physically watch these women walk in. So they arrive in the afternoon on a Friday and we have a beautiful grazing table and they're quite closed in, you know, when you're just reading that body language. And then we all sit down and we do a little bit of a welcome circle. Again, it's not woo-woo. It's just something where I'm like, here we are and this is your opportunity. And I always cry at that point because I'm thank you for saying yes.
Share and connect.
You know, they're like, why are you crying? We're the ones. I'm just like, thank you for allowing yourself to come here because I know how hard it is for you at home. But my point to this is I watch them open up at that point. I watch them relax into it and know that they are in a really safe place and they deserve this. They deserve this opportunity to be able to connect with other women. You know, respite, I don't love the word respite, but I guess that's what it is. But it's that real nurture, I call it the Nurture and Connect retreat. that nurture, that connection, and
with
just
others.
allow themselves to enjoy the time. And we
Yeah.
do. And I walk away from that and my heart is so full. I actually had a mum call me. So a mum who came along,
Yep.
her mum called me.
Oh.
No, she emailed me that night. So I got home from Mornington and I had an email in my inbox and she said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so's mum. And I just want to say thank you." She called me on her way home and she's never opened herself up to opportunity. You know, she's always just looking after her little boy and that's all she's dedicated her life to since he's been here. And she never gives herself the opportunity to allow herself to give her something. And she said, "I can't thank you enough for what you've done this weekend." And I thought, that's it for me. That's all I need to know that I'm doing a good thing. So yeah, my heart is I'm always walking around like, my heart is so full. If anyone follows my socials, I'm always like, oh, my heart is so full. And it is, it really is, you know. We did a little birthday party for a little girl on the weekend, which, you know, very sadly is coming to end of life. She probably won't be here before Christmas. And, you know, I just thought, yeah, what would you like? Like, who does she love? She goes, "Oh, she loves Tinkerbell." Okay. Well, let's get a Tinkerbell to your house and some cupcakes. Like, that's all in my eyes, that's all I'm doing. I'm just sending
Organising
a character
stuff,
there
Yep.
with a photographer. Because I said, "Would you mind if I sent a photographer so we can give you some photos, you know, and just have these beautiful photos?"
Oh, yeah.
And this little, like, I wasn't there physically, but this little girl, you would not even know. She's smiling, she's laughing, she's enjoying the moment. Her mum enjoyed it and she rang me that night. She goes, "How will I ever thank you?" And I thought, oh, I didn't do anything, but we've created those memories for these kids.
Yeah.
And although it's going to be it's not going to be a beautiful outcome for this little girl. But then what I said, I'm like, you know, you always stay in contact with your 2-year-old. You let us know. We have access to things, you know. We have a beautiful relationship with the aquarium, Sea Life and Legoland. And, you know, we have access to do events there and give tickets and all that kind of stuff. So I said, you know, keep in touch.
Stay in touch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that makes it real as well, those stories of actual people, because it's easy if you don't live in that world to ignore it. But when these people are faced with this on day in, day out, they're looking after special needs children, you know, it's some of these people are just cooked. They're just so worn out, aren't they?
Yeah. And the mum specifically that we took on the retreats, this one in particular, she, again, her little boy will pass away sometime in the near future. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But she just came and she's so happy and chirpy and she still advocates for him. And I just thought, I'm so happy that I could give you this opportunity where you can actually switch off. But we have no idea what they have to go through to get there. So, you know, support workers have to come on board and numbers and kits and all this kind of thing. She's got another daughter that she has, the husband looks after.
They can't just walk off.
Can't just walk away.
Yeah, drop everything and go away for the weekend.
Things that they have to
put in place.
And I'm grateful that these, you know, it's predominantly mums that come, although I did put a little bit of research out to go, oh, you know, should we do a dad's one? And there's been a bit of interest. So I think I'll do a dad's one early next year. I won't host that. I'll get someone to host that.
Yeah.
I'm not really into golf or anything like that. I don't know. In my head, it's a golf trip. I don't know. If anyone has ideas, let me know because there has to be something. But
well, if you need a host, let me know.
There you go.
Got a host. Sounds like good fun. So people can nominate someone on the website. They can go to the website and nominate someone.
Yeah. So, you know, and anything, like if there's a party that you think of that we might be able to help with, and I will be completely honest, I don't actively promote that intensely because we don't have the resources, but I hope that one day this organisation grows, that we can be zipping around across Melbourne, Victoria. We've done an event in Tassie before, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But I hope as the organisation grows, we will have more ability and more funding to be able to help more families and impact more families.
Yeah, and there are plenty of them.
There's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
That's really nice. So you can head to friendinme.org.au. You can jump on either the Give a Cup.
Yep.
You can nominate someone for a retreat, or you can get in touch because you want to sponsor a retreat.
We love that.
That's the
We
good
love
one.
that.
You-
Or if you want to
you
be
listening.
a sponsor for a family day.
Yes.
And you know what? It's beautiful. And the family day we get the sponsors come in. They're like, yeah, we want to attach our name to that. Or the
Yeah.
gala ball, like it's
The gala ball.
The gala ball's just been booked in for 2024. It's
Beautiful.
at the Plaza Ballroom at the Regent Theatre.
Oh, fancy.
So fancy.
Yeah, okay.
So fancy. It's a masquerade. That's
Yep.
but it's a high premium one.
Yeah, good. And you said
stuff.
that those events also help put you on the map as well with different audience.
And it is. And, I got up and spoke from my heart at that event, and I had all these people coming up to me and they're like, we won't lie, we had no idea where
That
we
you
were
exist,
coming,
yeah.
who is friending me, what do they do.
Yep.
But the way you told your story and why you're doing it and to see your passion, we want to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So we've already getting sponsors locked in for that for next year because, like you said, we're on the map.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I've said it so many times today. It's really competitive.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that everyone's not doing good things, and there is a place for everyone. But also, we need funding.
Yeah.
We need funding to keep going.
And you need to make it so that you can, it's sustainable as well. That's the biggest one. It's got to be sustainable. Otherwise, what
That's
happens?
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just falls to bits.
Yeah.
What's big for 2024? Where do you want to take it?
So I think for 2024, I have this very big feeling we're going to be doing more sensory spaces in organisations, which I find really, really exciting. For me, that's, like I said, the inclusion space we're doing here in Geelong is our biggest project. And, what came from that was this Mornington one. So now I feel like that's kind of the direction we're heading. And once we roll out this educational platform, that's going to be our two biggest things for 2024.
That is pretty big.
It's going to be huge. And
great.
My big dream is, I've always said I wanted to get in schools, and I don't just want to come into schools and go, hi, we're friending me. How can you be more inclusive? And let's put something on the board and let's learn it. And then you're going to walk away and you're not going to remember.
Yep.
You might remember this. Do you remember Harold, the dental van, the health van? Do you
I think
remember?
I do remember Harold.
Do you ever remember Harold coming to your school? Now, why do you remember Harold? Because Harold was fun. There was a mascot, and we remember. So what I want to do is, because we kind of started with these events, and that's kind of like my grassroots, and that's what I love doing.
Yep.
I would love to do here is how we can be more inclusive, and write this down in your books. And now let's go have a disco outside, and let's have a whole lot of fun together and get some characters. So people go, we had Friendly Me come to our school today and they were so much fun, and we danced and we laughed and we connected and we learnt this. And so when they're 40, it's like they're Harold. Like, we're the friendly. Like, I want a Friendly Me band with a DJ console in there. Like, this is where.
Yeah.
And as I look around in here, I thought maybe you can help me make that happen.
Well.
But this is so that's why we're starting online with the program.
Yep.
Get that going. Sort of iron that out, because there's going to be things.
There's going to be some.
There's going to be some, and then get into schools and even daycares. Starting with our real little people, but not just theory where they're going to walk away and forget about it. Like, I want it to be fun.
I want it to stick.
I want it to stick.
Yeah.
So that's my big dreams. That's my dreams, and I will keep going. I'm very passionate.
Yes.
Who would have thought Waterloo Days I'd be doing this?
No one.
I definitely didn't think I'd be doing this.
No.
I honestly do. And, I say this a lot when I get invited to speak a little bit and, on panels and stuff. And I always just say to these people, if there's something that, a fire in your belly that needs to be ignited and you have a little bit of a dream, sometimes you just got to go for it.
Yep.
You can always fall back on something.
Yep.
If this all turns to crap, well, I'll just go back and do events,
Yeah.
I'll fall back on something. But
you won't die not knowing.
no. And I think you just got to follow your dreams, and life's just too short. If
is.
there's something that you want to do out there, then sometimes you just got to go for it.
Well, I'd say that the environment that you're in is highlighting the short life factor, and that's pretty confronting, but it's true. And
exactly.
Well, I wish you all the best
Thank
with
you.
it, and maybe
Thank you
when
so much.
after maybe we should book in a podcast for next year, so that in 2026.
I won't have any more babies in that time. Though.
You say that
I'll
now.
tell you, no. There's no more babies. I've got 4 beautiful little children. That's enough for me.
You won't stop.
Oh, no. I'll care for all the other kids.
Louise Larkin, thank you for coming on to the Good People podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Telling us all about Friend in Me. Head to friendinme.org.au is where you can find all your stuff that's going on. And we wish you all the best for next year and the future for Friend in Me.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're most welcome, and it's great to finally get you in.
Only took how many years?
Yeah. Yeah. This has been the Good People podcast. My name is Andy. It's all brought to you by In Other Good News. If you like what you're hearing, make sure you tell a friend. Tell a friend about what Louise is doing, and tell a friend about the podcast. That helps us out so much. And if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe and like the episodes. Yeah, just tell people about it. It helps us out so much. So thank you again. Brought to you by In Other Good News. And we will see you on the next podcast.
Well, it's a tip of the cap, it's a pat on the back, it's a smile from ear to ear. They're the good people from round here. They're the good people from round here. Come on, let me introduce you to a few.